welcome. My name is Lexi Jong, and here I like to talk about luxury makeup. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Hindash BEAUTOPSY palette. And this is a pressed pigment palette that Hindash, the famous makeup artist, just recently came out with. I've had this for a few weeks, but I've only been able to play with this, maybe 3 or 4 times so far with all of the other releases that have been coming out. So I thought we would go ahead and do a get ready with me today. I wanted to show you what this palette can really do because it's really interesting. So this is made in Italy. It's 100% vegan and it retails for $70 US. And it has a 2-year shelf life and a total net weight of 24 grams. Now, one thing I want to mention is because these are pressed pigments, they are leaving this essentially like a stain on your skin. Not that it's like a stain you can't get off, but what I mean is normally when you use like a powder product, you actually see that powder can shift and so forth. And with these, if you look at it after you put it on, it's almost as though your skin has turned that color instead. You don't see powder particles. I have not had any fallout with this whatsoever. So I think it's a really incredible palette. And I know for some people, this may seem very intimidating to see kind of this like ombre effect here, but I actually think it's a lot of fun to play with. So I have really been enjoying this. This is cardboard packaging. It has a magnetic closure. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna bring you in closer. So I'm gonna start off with the Dior Forever Skin Veil Primer. Just gonna put this on and then I'll also add some eye primer right now. Now I've tested all of these products without any primers on either my face or my eyes, and I have had no issues with wear time whatsoever. For me, I wanted to use this primer because my skin feels a little dry today, and this is a moisturizing primer. So it just, it's a little comfort issue for me right now. And then I think for foundation, we'll use the Givenchy Prisma Libra Skincare and Glow Foundation. But first, I'm going to add, let's use the Viseart Eye Primer on my eyes. So just taking a little bit here. So in this Givenchy foundation, I wear shade, what is this, 1N95. And this is a serum foundation, and the more I use it, the more I love it. So I'm going to take the Kyoto, this is the F04, formerly the Fupa 03. And I just like to kind of stamp it in on my cheeks to kind of hide some of that redness and then kind of brush it out a little. All right, so I still have this much left, but I'm happy with the coverage. And then for under eye concealer, I'm going to take this. This is shade 3 in the Jones Road pencil. Just gonna put a little bit of this here. So just a little bit of coverage there, and then I'm just taking the foundation brush and just kind of going over that a little bit. Now, one of the things I like about the Givenchy foundation is you can actually mix it with a concealer and you get a really seamless finish, but I didn't do it today. Okay, I'm just gonna set my face with the Sisley pressed powder. This is the Fido Poudre Compact in number 1 Rosy, and I'm just dusting a little bit of this on with the Refer 25 brush. So I wash most of my brushes pretty much every day, but my powder brushes I change like once a week. So this one, I'm not using a ton of powder, but it just, it's the end of the week, so it needs to be washed. All right, so I'm gonna take the Blender Pro from Sonia G, and I'm gonna go into the brown part here of tan lines. This is the very first shade. And I'm just gonna get some pigment here on my brush and put this in the crease. Now, these products, they go on fairly sheerly, and then you can just build them up. Just lots and lots of layering to get depth of color. All right, so next I'm taking the Sonia G Mini Booster, and I'm gonna go over here. This is Feel Real. I'm gonna go into the brown part here, and I'm just gonna add this to the crease. And you can see this is a smaller crease brush. So I'm just gonna kind of add this in a little bit more targeted. And I'm starting at the outer corner so that it fades in. Next, I'm going to take the Esom. This is the W21. I'm going to go down here to the very bottom. This is Intrafatum, and I'm going to go right here in the middle. And I'm going to put this on the outer corner here. Just going to tap this on. So then I'm going to take this mini booster, and I'm just going to kind of brush this a little bit into this crease area as well, and then just kind of blend this out just a touch here on the edges. So if you look at this up close, you can see that it's not powdery at all. It's pretty cool. Okay, so I want to do a little bit more of a gradient look. And one of the best things about these pans is you have like a natural gradient built in. So I could just go from here to here to here and have that. But I want something a little bit more, you know, I want to go lighter than that. So I'm going to take some right here. Okay, and then we're going to add this right there. I'm going to blend that out in a second. So taking that mini, what is this again? The mini booster from Sonia G again, and just kind of feathering all of this towards the inner portion. Okay, and then I'm gonna go over here to Feel, and I'm gonna progress to the gray and have the gray at the inner corner. So I'm starting all the way on the left of this pan, and I've wiped the brush off. Just gonna put a little bit here. And then I'm gonna go directly to the middle in between both pans. Just add a little bit here. And I'm wiping my brush off in between. And now I'm just gonna add this gray. So I'm taking the Blender Pro I used in the beginning, and I'm just kind of blending those a little bit. Now with like a powdery shadow, if you were to do something like this, it would just all get like completely muddled together. But you can see that you can actually still see separate color. I am gonna add a little bit more gray here though. Okay, just kind of feathering over very lightly. All right, so I'm taking the Surratt Smoky Eye Brush in medium, and let's see if this actually helps move the pigments. Since they're not powdery, they don't move quite as, so it's kind of like the pigments like adhere to your eye pretty strongly. All right, not my best eye look. I've done some pretty nice looks in my opinion with this palette. This is definitely not my best. You know, it doesn't look as smooth. I'm just taking the Builder Pro, and I did wipe it off. I'm just kind of buffing the crease area a little bit. I want to try adding a little bit of this wet paint shade. I'm going to go into this lightest part. This is the Chikuhodo, what is this, F05. Just going to get a little bit of that and just kind of tap it on top to get more of like a soft filtered effect here. Let's add a little bit more here. So it just kind of softens the whole thing. What do you think? All right, I like that better. All right, so let's move on to liner. Now you could totally wet these. I don't want to go for that look today, but I'm going to go into the Intrafatum and I'm going to go right here in the middle and use this. This is the Sonia G Flat Definer. I'm just going to go right along the lash line here. All right, and then I'm going to go into tan lines. I'm going to go right here where it's, you know, a little bit of brown and white kind of mixed together, but not quite at the halfway point. And I'm going to add this to the inner corner area and on the lower lash line, kind of blend those together a little. So this is the eye look then, and you can see that it's not powdery at all. It's really interesting. So this is actually the deepest I have gone with the eye looks, but I usually like to do like, you know, a soft gradient, and I have really been enjoying them. I have to say that they last all day, like over 12 hours and still look the same. So definitely good with that. Now let's move on to cheeks. Now for cheeks, I'm going to go into Boy Wonder and I'm just kind of going all over it. And I'm going to add just a dab of wet paint as well. And this is the Chikuhoru KZ4. Let's just put this on here. So I have done an entire look before with this palette, like where I used it as brow product and I did like contour and stuff and everything. And it totally works for that. I didn't get the best brow shade for me, so but we can try that again. This is the blush. I like it. Now, one of the things you can do, you know, this palette is easy to adjust to your skin tone by mixing in any of the other shades to either lighten something or deepen something. So it's a little bit darker on that side. Just try to buff this a little bit more. I'm going to get the smooth buffer. So here's the Sonia G Smooth Buffer. I'm going to go into wet paint and I'm just going on the left side all the way up to the midpoint here. Get that. I'm going to stamp it right here in the center for a little brightening there and then kind of buff. And let's go ahead and add a little bit of contour here. So I'm actually going to take the KZ3 into the brown part of tan lines. So I'm getting some of that, and then I'm going in the middle of Feel Real. And let's try that out. That definitely made a difference. Just gonna take that smooth buffer again and just kind of go over that area. So I didn't add any product. Okay, and I wiped this off. I'm gonna go into the bright white here and tan lines. Just gonna add this here as a little brightening. And for brows, I'm going to take the Sonia G Flat Definer again. And I'm going to go into this area here on Intrafatum. And let's just add a little bit. This probably isn't the best brush, but it works. So, not the best color here. I'm going to dip this into the gray. And let's just kind of fix that. What do you think? So this is just the spoolie on the Gucci brow pencil. Just gonna kind of brush that in a little bit so it's not so stark. All right, so there are the brows with it. Now let's move on to lips. And I think for lips, let's go ahead and we're gonna add a little bit of this Love Kills and some of Boy Wonder over here on the pink. Add a little bit more Love Kills. So this is my color. Now I think, yeah, I have a tiny bit of residual lip balm. Let me wipe that off. All right, so I'm just gonna dab this on. A little more pigment right there. There we go. I like that color. All right, so I'm happy with that color. And then if I want, I can just top it with some lip balm or lip gloss. But when I just do one layer of this powder, I don't feel anything on my lips. Like they feel a little drier, you know, like I've got powder on it. But when I rub my lips together, I don't feel anything there. If I then decide to go in and add a second coat though, I do feel some of the powder. So just something to note there. So with one layer of color, nothing to feel. And then when I tap on the like lip balm or anything, you know, I don't feel any like grittiness or anything like that. It just feels very comfortable. And yeah, so let me add some mascara and I'll back you up and we'll take a look at this. All right, so this is the final look from a distance. I just added the Sisley So Stretch mascara in dark brown and that's it. So you can see how well everything, you know, kind of blended out. I really like how you can kind of concoct your own shades of everything. I just think it's a lot of fun to play with and it's actually very inspiring to be able to mix your own shades. So, you know, I really like it. And let me just show you what the lip looks like with a gloss on top. So I'm just using up, this is the By Terry Balm de Rose Flacinet. So it's just clear lip balm. So again, I don't feel any powder or anything like that mixed into this. And now it looks more like a lip gloss or something. And I have to say wear time with the pigment for on the lips, if I don't put anything on it, it does tend to last longer. When I mix it with a lip balm, then you're really going more with the wear time on the lip balm because that pigment kind of mixes into that a little bit more. So, you know, it really just depends what you're gonna do. But I think it's a great product and yeah, overall, I'm very happy. All right, so it's been a few hours now and I actually just had lunch. I just wanted to show you, I have not reapplied anything, but this is how well it's worn. So like the lip balm is pretty much worn off, but I still have this pigment for now. If I don't top it, that will start to fade. But so far, so good. I think everything, you know, looks great. All right, so the reason I wanted to come back is I realized I forgot to swatch these. So I'm gonna go ahead and swatch. And again, you can get a gradient from any of the shades, but I'll do 3 swatches per each pan here. So we'll go, you know, left, middle, right. So this one here is the first pan called Tan Lines. You can see that there. And one of the great things about this palette is you can really mix the undertones so you can get exactly the undertone that you want. This one here is Wet Paint. And this is the one with a little bit of yellow in here, but you can see we go from like a cream to a yellow. And I remember Hindash saying in his video that he uses these shades a lot for brightening and lightening some of the like blushes and stuff. So that's the first 2. This one here is Boy Wonder. So you can see we go from more of a warm tone to a cooler tone pink. So something a bit more peachy to something more of a brighter carnation pink. And then this is Feel Real. So this is the brown to the gray transition. And this one, again, you can get so many different, different shades here. We go from something warmer to something cooler in tone as well. So you can really select your undertone here. And this is Love Kills. So again, warm to cooler in tone. It's not particularly super cool tone, but it is going to be cooler than the initial shade here on the left. And then Intrafatum. Just enough space. And you can see we go from a rich reddish brown, but it's not overly warm. And then we go to a much cooler, almost black shade. But you can see that it's not like a solid black. You can see where it fades out, that you still have a touch of that warmth from the brown kind of mixed in there. One thing to note, since these shades are pressed pigments, the oils from your fingers can actually cause like hard pan and things like that on here. So if you do swatch them like I just did, you need to kind of clean that up to prevent anything with that. So just something to note. But this is the whole palette. And again, you can get any mix here with any of these shades. And what I think is really great about this palette is the inclusion of the different undertones in similar shades. So we've got cooler tone browns and warmer tone browns, same thing with like the pinks and so forth. So it's really more of an undertone kind of ombre effect as well, which I think is really useful. And I think that's what allows this palette to work so well on so many different skin tones. So I hope this was helpful. I personally really enjoy this palette a lot. And I think Hindash has created something unique. We've seen ombre products before, such as like the Suku blushes that were just like an ombre type effect. But what is different is the transition of the undertones here as well. And I think that's one of the things that makes this palette so very special. And yeah, for me, I'm very, very happy that I picked this one up. So let's chat briefly about this Hindash palette. So as I mentioned, it retails for $70 US, and these are all matte pressed pigments. So, they act as a true pigment. They're not powdery. You could see even when I was doing the eyeliner and I was using little like strokes instead of just pressing it in, I still did not have any fallout. And wear time on this, I've been able to go all day, over 12 hours with no real significant signs of wear on the eyes. Anywhere, I might have had some wear on the cheeks where things have kind of like pressed against my face and so forth. But the eyes, which I'm not touching, they stayed with absolutely no problem. Even where I touched on the cheeks and so forth, or where my children touched, it was still there. It just, had some fading. And, I didn't have the best contour shade today, but it's kind of fun just kind of playing around and mixing your own to see exactly, what your perfect combination is. So you can really do everything on the face with this palette. And I have to say, I did use these on the lips. I'm not positive that these are lip safe. So I will try to find out and leave that down here on the screen. But just saying, I used it on my lips. I've been using it on my lips, and yeah, I didn't check to make sure everything was lip safe technically. So is this palette going to be for everybody? Probably not. There are definitely people who are not really going to enjoy mixing their own shades. They don't want to have any of the guesswork involved. And, they want to stick with something that is kind of like a prescribed type of, color story. And that's totally fine. But anybody who's interested in playing around or mixing colors, playing with different intensities and things like that, this is a fantastic, fantastic palette for that. And I really love the ombre effect in here and how many different shades you can have. I'm going to put a link to Hindash's original video, his original YouTube video on this palette from when it launched, because inside he has some swatches where he did like 7 or 8 different shades from some of these. So you could see the true effect and all of the variations you can get just with one pan here. And I thought that was really interesting. So there are definitely quite a few variations. Now, I think this palette is a lot of fun to play with, and if that's something that you like to do with your makeup, this is definitely worth looking at. And I have to say that, you know, just the fact that these last so long, there's no fallout, you know, it's a great palette. So I personally am very happy with it, and I'm very happy that I ended up picking this up. I'd love to know if you've already picked this up, what your thoughts are on it, and if you have any intention of picking this up in the future if you haven't. So thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you very soon. Have a great day, stay safe and healthy.